This is Sybert signing into Kane's Wrath on the map tournament airstrip for Game 1 of the upper bracket semifinal best of 7. On the left side, playing the Cyan Scrin, this is Futurama. And on the right side, going for that classic GDI plain red, this is Dimitri. Dimitri busting his way through the quarterfinals against Green Zero in a very narrow 3-2 victory. Coming through in that last game. Steel Talons all the way. And then he gets into the semifinals, and he switches it up to GDI versus Futurama's Scrin. I'm not going to say that I blame him. Switching up to just regular old GDI, especially having sniper teams and some better options versus Scrin, will be nice. But Futurama, he had a bit of a cleaner transition into the semifinals, going through Buka in his best of 5. Not quite the same back and forth that there was between Green Zero and Dimitri. So Dimitri comes through with a cleaner series, but Dimitri is still, Futurama comes through with a cleaner series, but Dimitri is still no slouch. And certainly we're hoping that it will be a close series between them. Futurama, in my mind, is the favorite of these two. Dimitri is the underdog. But I hope Dimitri doesn't just get 4-0'd here in a best of 7. Futurama, he sometimes does that to people. His Scrin is very powerful, is very well practiced on Scrin, and that is a faction that he will sometimes switch back to after maybe taking a loss on GDI or Nod. For now, Tournament Airstrip is a very calm map. A very quiet map between these two players. They both opted for very macro-oriented openers. They're both playing extraordinarily standard beginning builds. Maybe a little bit of a problem here with these harvesters. That is 2 harvesters camped outside of 1 refinery when there is a whole other refinery that they could have been refining at. And of course, with 5 harvesters and 2 refineries, you do have a little bit of waiting around that happens, but you really don't want there to be that much waiting around that happens between these players. Futurama has opted for a 3rd refinery on his natural. Not a 1-base tech. We see that fairly often from Scrin, 1-base to tier 3. But not the case for Futurama. He is going a little bit bigger on the eco. Not going super greed mode. Not going for the ultimate harvester count, the most harvesters that you've ever seen. But instead, just going for a little bit more economy-focused opening couple of minutes here. And it looks like he will, kind of for free, get that Tib Spike in the middle of the map. The Seeker Tank goes first, the Disintegrators after that, and the Seeker Tank will complete the scout, but that Engineer is going to have a pretty free walk to that Tib Spike. The difference in economy between these two players, it is maybe closing up a little bit. It was a little bit wider slightly earlier in the game, and it is closing up just a bit. Futurama, about 2k resources ahead in terms of total resources gathered. Not a huge advantage at this moment, but we'll see if these descents are able to increase that lead by any amount. For the current moment, Futurama has decided to play the tech game. He got his 3rd refinery at the natural, and then he went straight into his tech. We saw the nerve center a little while ago. The tier 3 has completed, and tripods are stomping their way out onto the map. On the other side of the map, we do have AP ammo. Decent ways done, but it is 4 refineries and a war factory on the Dimitri side of the map. So the technology might be a little bit slower, the tech up a little bit later from Dimitri, but of course he's making up for it with that stronger natural expansion economy and the faster 2nd war factory. In the next 30 seconds, both of these players are going to be on almost the exact same position. Tier 3 should be finishing up. There's the placement by Dimitri. And now these two players are on almost the exact same footing. Their production is a little bit different, but their current infrastructure is extremely similar. It may not be for very much longer. Descents going to be coming in. These are, of course, slow descents, but this is 7 squadrons of disintegrators, and this is a very exposed MCV. There is a rifleman inside of this foxhole, but that's not a lot of health points left on that foxhole. Laser fence comes up just in time. 0 damage was done to that MCV by the disintegrators before the laser fence came up. So this is best case scenario for Dimitri. That was absolutely perfect by him. He got everything turned out just right. One mammoth tank does go down, so that part didn't turn out just right, and a harvester is going to take a little bit of damage here. I think the watchtower will be able to finish up these descents before anything else happens, but for the current moment, it's going to be about this attack up in the north, as we do have Predator tanks and APCs getting outclassed by force-fielded harvesters, and that is not a fight that Dimitri wanted to take. He was poking and prodding. I think Dimitri assumed that the tripods were further south. I think Dimitri assumed that the tripods were at the natural expansion, not in the main. And then he walks in there with the Predator tanks, with the APCs, and he realizes, I have made a huge mistake. Devastator warships going to start shelling this base. First 2 artillery gives Futurama a bit of an advantage. The third refinery the third base is here for Dimitri, but it gets immediately shut down. He doesn't have Firehawks ready for this. He doesn't have Juggernauts so that he can do his own counter damage. He just lost a refinery basically for free because Futurama was more prepared. Mammoth tanks versus tripods. And that's not a fight that I want to take if I'm the GDI player, if I don't have the Space Command uplink, if I don't have some kind of EMP option to deal with those tripods. The Mammoth tank numbers are definitely growing, so maybe Dimitri in another 30 seconds or a minute will have enough tripod or enough Mammoth tanks that he can stomp those tripods, but I'm not so sure right now, especially with Phase having the potential of coming out here for Futurama. Phase and Stasis. You could easily stasis half of these mammoth tanks, and the tripods will crush the other half with ease. Gunwalker's getting a couple of shots there. Dimitri decides, you know what? Third bases are for suckers, and instead, I am going to go north. I'm going to your main. Mammoth tanks are rolling out. Tripods are not going to respond. They're reforming their front line. They're expecting this army to turn around and crunch back in from the north. We'll see if Dimitri actually goes for that. He is definitely posturing like he is going to smash the main base, but he might be worried about his own MCV going down. He's backed it up a little bit. He doesn't have it right on the front line of this third field. AA battery gets deployed. Devastator warships have called off the attack. They were sent in to potentially hunt down that MCV, and now they're just going to back off a little bit from the front line. Harvester escapes with half a load of blue Tiberium. There's a whole line of mammoth tanks here that just didn't see that harvester passing almost before their very eyes. Double portal on the front line. Third base is up and running for Futurama, and this is where the 2K difference in total resources gathered from a few minutes ago has turned into a $13,000 difference between total resources gathered. This is where I get worried about the stasis coming in as well, locking down some of these mammoth tanks. For now, Futurama is just going to be relying on tripods and disintegrators. Disintegrators rushing forward. The APCs are nowhere nearby. No sniper teams, no hammerheads, no APCs to support these mammoth tanks. There's the APCs. They finally start laying waste to these descents, and a couple of EMPs will land as well. Orbital bombardment comes in, and there's going to be the stasis to lock down 2 of the mammoth tanks. This southern flank is getting absolutely absolutely crushed as the descents and the tripods make short work of those mammoth tanks, and Dimitri just doesn't have enough. The GG comes in, and it turns out having 20k more resources in your army makes a big difference for that final fight as Futurama gets the win in game number 1 versus Dimitri. And it may not be the switch up that you're asking for, but these players are switching it up here in game number 2 on Tournament Oasis. Sticking with Cyan, playing as the Traveler 59. This is Futurama. Meanwhile, in the south, switching it up to Blackhand. This is Dimitri. So we're in the same neighborhood as the last game, but we have switched up the specifics just a little bit. Traveler 59 versus Blackhand, taking us back to some classic Bike Rush Owns versus Masterleaf matches from 10 plus years ago. This matchup was extremely common and has definitely fallen off a little bit, but here we are, we're back to it. We're never really totally gone of this matchup. We always see it pop up from time to time, even if it's just a random draw ending up in a Traveler versus Blackhand matchup. The only difference is today there are no rushes. We have, once again, very standard macro-oriented openers, double refinery from the Blackhand player, telegraphing that this is not a multi-War Factory MCV sell all-in. No portal at the beginning of the game, no stasis chamber from our Traveler player, indicating it is not a crazy disintegrator rush right from the beginning. We may end up seeing some disintegrators a little bit later on. We're probably going to see some cultists and a prodigy, but at the beginning of the game, we do not have a disintegrator rush that needs to be defended against. And so, this is just like those games from 10 years ago, except a lot more calm. Someone has pumped the brakes on some of the insane aggressive strats that we used to see a little bit more of 10 years ago. And today, well, the game is the same, but the game is a little bit different. And this particular version of it is very standard, very macro-oriented. We do have perhaps a little bit of fear of disintegrators as we see 4 Raider buggies right from the beginning of the game. But the follow-up is going to be a couple of bikes as well. So Dimitri is feeling, hey, in that last game, I went a little bit too passive. I sat back a little bit too much. I need to be a little bit more in his face. I need to be taking the fight to Futurama, and we're going to see if it's able to work. For now, it's going to be a couple of Seeker Tanks, a couple of Gunwalkers here. The production is here at the Natural Expansion. Second War Factory is already up and running. The bikes are going to back off for the current moment, and Dimitri can, of course, just use this to try and steal the blue Tiberium from the middle of the map. For now, he is controlling the pace and the pressure in this game, and he can use that to suck up that blue Tiberium. Bike's going to be coming in. One Harvester will take a full volley. That's almost a dead Harvester from one single volley. Dimitri does not decide to dive in on it. He will lose one Raider buggy, but he is playing very carefully with his units. He does not want to overcommit. And, well, the options for defense are about to be upgraded as the stasis chamber comes in, the portal gets rebuilt or gets built there at the Natural Expansion, and disintegrators are on the way. Upgraded descents are going to be massive for that defense. I love this trick out attempt by Dimitri. It's not totally going to work, but he might have... Okay, no, he's going to give it up completely. He might have had an opportunity where he could have snuck in and got some shots off on a Harvester, and Futurama actually pulls the Harvesters away. He denies any easy harass by pulling the Harvesters a little bit further away, making the dive even further. And of course, the Disintegrators and the Seeker Tanks would have been there to catch the bikes if they did try and dive for it. Dimitri will not commit to the dive. Instead, he backs on off. And, well, I think he will get vision of this. I think his scouting squad there will have eyes on these Seeker Tanks, and he'll be able to push this away. Futurama, he also gets spotted in the middle of the map. He has a couple of descents, has a couple of gunwalkers there looking for the move out, but they do get spotted. No sneaky second attack for you, Futurama. Scorp and Buggy, it's a classic combination for a reason. It shuts down Seeker Tanks super hard, and we see that here. Seeker Tanks move out. Seeker Tanks get pushed back. More descents, more Seeker Tanks trying to find their way into this main base, but it just won't happen. Dimitri's defense is a little bit too good back at home. Futurama has broken his army up into several components, and none of them are really finding very much success. Dimitri has now walked up to the main base of Futurama, and he's going to see what he can get done. It looks like that Harvester in the south did go down, but the rest of the attack is falling on not much at all. There is not much there for Futurama to really kill off with just a couple of Seeker Tanks. He's got bikes to contend with. He's got Cabals to contend with. Dimitri is not going to let those couple of Seeker Tanks do any real damage. What are these Harvesters doing? Futurama, he may... Oh, there's a teleport away. That's what those Harvesters are doing. They get saved by that Prodigy. Refinery gets targeted down, immediately deleted, and that Harvester trying to return to its last given command. Area Mind Control only grabs one of the Scorpions, but it does go down basically immediately. Buggies are going to try and chase, but of course Black Hand, they have a little bit of a harder time chasing down that Prodigy than some of the other factions. They actually might be able to get it. They're not going to commit super hard for the chase, so a lot of the Buggies would have gone down to the tripods, and they decide to not go for it. This is still quite a few Scorpion tanks. They're kind of getting caught up on each other, trying to find their way in towards this tripod. There's going to be the Prodigy going for the retreat away from the front line. The Buggies commit super hard in to find the kill, and bikes are also on the north side of the base. The Prodigy will go down, and we'll see if Futurama can extract a high price for that kill. FaZe comes in. It will save one of the tripods. Cultists grabbing a couple of other tripods. The Harvesters haven't taken very much damage here. It's more about the Seeker Tanks and killing off these army units, as Dimitri is hoping to deal with the army and then crush the economy afterwards. Cultists making this a bit of a longer fight than it otherwise would have, but finally the Harvesters are going down. One gets eliminated, a second taking a massive amount of damage from these bikes. Two Harvesters for the price of one, as three Harvesters in total have been eliminated. Two more are extremely low on health, and Futurama's defense got busted wide open there by Dimitri. He is ready with a third base up and running. He has got a blue Tiberium under his control as well, and he has got two weak targets that he can bust back in and knock down. Okay, maybe not super weak, as one of those Harvesters is basically dead and the other one is got a decent amount of health now. But Dimitri doesn't even care. He's got that third base up and rocking. He's not interested in making this one a long game against Skrin. If the longer the game goes on, the more options that Traveler 59 have to deal with your Black Hand nonsense. But it's going to be a couple of Cultists getting gunned down on the front line. There aren't nearly enough tripods to deal with this many Scorpion tanks, so Futurama was hoping to have a couple of more minutes to get this last hurrah set up and ready. Dimitri is not giving it to him. The Prodigy comes forward. The Prodigy, not enough Buggies to gun it down quickly. The Prodigy just tried to escape. He finally goes down as the Cultists capture four of the Scorpion tanks. And those Scorps going for the crush on the Cultists. It's a delicate dance that must be maintained. Every tripod has gone down. The husks don't even remain as the GG comes out, and Futurama takes the L. Dimitri gets the win and puts a point on the board. And Game 3 sends us to Smashed Dust Bowl for a little run back of game number 1, as Dimitri and Futurama, they both agree that, hey, some things are different, but let's try that game number 1 all over again. And certainly Futurama is going to like that. I wonder if Dimitri will go a little bit more aggressive. It worked out for him in game number 2, keeping the pressure on Futurama with Black Hand, and then eventually being able to just out-eco Futurama. Didn't matter that his late-game upgrades weren't great, that he didn't really have some of those late-game options. that some of the other factions have. We never even saw Tibcore come in for Dimitri, but he just had so much more of everything than Futurama, and Futurama tried to rush that last push, and it, of course, did not work. Maybe if Dimitri would have, like, sat back a little bit and Futurama could have gotten out a hexapod or found some way to artificially extend out the pace of the game, maybe Futurama could have found a comeback there in that game number 2. But Dimitri had just out everythinged Futurama from the first couple of minutes of the game that there wasn't much hope. Well, this is one way to kick things off with a little bit of a different style, a little bit of a different heat setting on this game. And wait a second, what else is he going for? That's a Reckoner. Does he have a second operations center coming in? We have to assume. Okay, no, maybe it's Engineer. And Bikes will be the follow-up. It's going to be Rocket Squad. All right, Black Hand plus Rocket Squad inside of the Reckoner. Futurama has not seen this yet. We will hop over to Futurama's side of vision, and he does get vision from this building. He sees both units at around the same time, so he knows what is going on. There are a couple of bikes going to be coming to support this. The Reckoner kind of getting caught on these seeker tanks. That's terrible. I think that might have been bad pathing from Futurama's units, so Dimitri kind of gets screwed on that Reckoner deploying so far away. If he could have gotten that Reckoner close to this refinery, it would have been 2 dead buildings, not just one, as the War Factory goes down, and there goes the flame tank. This Reckoner, I don't know if that was Dimitri giving it way too many orders, or it did look like it was getting caught on the units of Futurama, so I don't know if that was intentional body blocking or what, but that could have been so much worse for Futurama than it actually was. Futurama loses the War Factory, but that is not the worst thing to have happen in this situation. Low power mode for Futurama as he gets his War Factory back online. No natural expansion for either player. They are delaying that quite a bit with this opening that Dimitri has gone for. But now that the flame tank is dead and the Reckoner is deployed in a very awkward spot, things will start to cool down. The bike's coming back in for another pass. They do get a couple of shots. Okay, not much for the bikes to do there. There's too many secret tanks, too many descents, too much everything from Futurama. Dimitri tries 2 games in a row to bring the aggression, to bring a bit of fire to the beginning of game number 3, just like he did in game number 2. And it doesn't quite have the same controlling effect. We'll see as the game progresses if Dimitri is able to keep up the aggression and keep Futurama on that side of the map, because Dimitri wasn't necessarily successful with all of his attacks in that last game, but he was successful in corralling Futurama and keeping Futurama away from the Dimitri side of the map. Decent number of harvesters here for Futurama. He is definitely caught up in the harvester count, but of course Dimitri had to sacrifice his own harvester count because of the operations center opener that he went for at the beginning. A couple of bikes sneaking away from the natural expansion. Futurama, after all is said and done, is still up that same 2,000 resources that he was in the first game. He's still up that same 2,000 resources over Dimitri. Tanks moving forward. Dimitri going to try and secure the blue Tiberium. Whether or not he sends a harvester out there almost doesn't matter, because he is completely denying this area of the map from Futurama. And Dimitri going to be potentially looking for an angle on the main base. A couple of harvesters getting transferred away. Maybe a little bit early, but that's a just fine timing to keep them safe. 3 bikes coming in. If only it had been a couple more, these harvesters would be dead that much more quickly. Splits the damage onto 2 of the harvesters, so the bikes may not actually get a kill here. The juking on the harvester is good, and the bikes are going to commit fully into the attack. So those bikes, they're sticking around to get maximum damage. They are not pulling out early like we saw some of the bikes in that last game. Wary of dying to the forces of Futurama. 1 harvester down, another harvester down to about 80% of its health. Scorpion tanks looking for an angle on the natural expansion. Disintegrators here for the defense. Dev tanks as well from Futurama. Dimitri trying to re-engage. Can he find the angle? These buggies are running away faster than the Scorpions, so the Scorpions might take a little bit of damage from those disintegrators. But overall, it feels like both players have stabilized quite well. Futurama was getting his tier 3 at the same time, losing a harvester. Dimitri slower on the tech, but he's caught up now. His economy at his natural expansion is looking really solid as well. So now that all things have transpired, 6.5 minutes in, it's kind of an even game between these two. Futurama has been producing these disintegrators for longer, but of course he's vanilla scrin, so these disintegrators are going to need some help to get on top of units, and we'll see if laser capacitors come in. Dimitri is looking to play a bit more aggressive. We'll see if he's actually able to handle the attacks well, because if he gets the wrong flank, if he gets part of his army stasis, he could accidentally walk into a trap and not even realize it. Flame tank is here as well. Dimitri will be getting the flame tank caught. We'll see if the tripod actually gets the kill. Tripod notices, and the tripod will do a lot of damage to that flame tank. Disintegrators pushing everything else back, but the Scorpion tanks have at least escaped with their lives. Again, that almost turned into a trap. It didn't quite spring, and Dimitri now has pretty much full information on what Futurama is doing. The flame tank does go down. Okay, Dimitri not getting anything for that flame tank. Did steal some blue Tiberium. Laser capacitors have now finished up, so these buggies are going to be able to clean up these disintegrators that much more quickly. And actually, not even a single buggy goes down to the disintegrators in the middle of the map. That was a big portion of the disintegrators that are out on the game for Futurama, so he just lost a pretty significant portion of his disintegrator firepower for free. Not a single Raider buggy went down. And of course, with laser capacitors upgraded, these Scorpion tanks do so much better versus the tripods. Futurama suddenly has to tread a little bit carefully. Dimitri has now overtaken Futurama in total resources gathered, partially due to this faster third base and partially due to that blue Tiberium that he is stealing from the middle of the map. There's a lot of Scorpions. They might actually be able to jump on one of these tripods. Stasis is going to be an almost necessary part of the defense here. I don't know if Futurama can hold on without a stasis or without some kind of support power. We'll see. Vertigo Bomber is going to be coming in. Tripods have a really good angle, carving up a big chunk of this army before the fight even happens. Before a big fight even happens, 4-5 of the Scorpion tanks almost down to 0 health, and this Harvester is almost certainly going to die. Is he going to juke out of here? What is going on? That Harvester is an elite unit, somehow avoiding every single tripod, and the tripod does go down. Futurama doesn't lose hardly anything in the fight, but Dimitri able to evade every bit of damage that he could. And now, once again, both players pulling back, building up, trying to reset the game state again. Engineer should hop into this Tib Spike. Redeemer, more than halfway done. The tripods, they are not very scary amounts of numbers, but Phase and Stasis can still absolutely save Futurama. He just doesn't have a lot of cash in the bank. This third base is hamstringing Futurama. If he had a proper economy rolling at that third base, he would be able to crush this Scorpion tank army, but he's going to have to play out this defense really well. The Redeemer is not a part of this fight, which might give Futurama the kind of angle that he needs to hold on to this location. No Rage Gen to contend with, no Vertigos supporting this fight right now. 4 Vertigos back at home. They have moved out into the middle of the map. These 4 Vertigos can also be a huge swing for this fight. With the right stasis shield locking down this army, you can easily cut this into 2 fights. Half of the Scorpion tanks die now, the other half later. But with 4 Vertigos, and the Redeemer, the equation changes once again. Rage Gen could completely nullify the attacks of these tripods, causing them to waste shots on themselves as the Vertigos blast them to bits. We'll see how it plays out. Futurama, that was not the decoy Redeemer. I thought it was the decoy Redeemer at first, but no, this Redeemer just gets locked down, and that's a dead Redeemer, so who cares about Rage Gen? Who cares about anything else, because that Redeemer goes down, and this is the decoy Redeemer over here. Not doing a whole lot of anything, and he just gets eliminated. Whoopsie-daisy, as the decoy Redeemer lives longer than the real Redeemer. And Dimitri suddenly has to go, okay, that did not work. Let's try and just outrun our opponent. Venoms might actually be able to chunk away a decent amount of health from these tripods. He's not going for the high or for the low health tripods. He's just blasting away these shields and cutting down the overall health of the tripods. Vertigo Bombers are almost certainly rearming, and they should be able to come back in for this fight. So clumped up tripods. Oh man, Vertigo Bombers on this cluster of tripods could be absolutely massive, but they're not ready yet. They're not here on the front line. Futurama, he is catching up in total resources gathered, but for now, Dimitri maintains his lead. The third base has finally been established for Futurama, and he's hoping to have a couple of minutes of peace to get himself online. All right, cutting out all of the shields. A bunch of shields end up going down. A couple of Vertigo Bombers end up going down. 2 Vertigos did drop in that attack, so that attack was not free. Futurama made Dimitri pay a bit of a price. Tripods coming back online. It's going to be a Vane detonation to start off this fight to try and even things up. There's the stasis locking down a huge chunk of Scorpions, and suddenly the front line just disappears. 1, 2, 3, 7, 11, 13. I think that's 13 Scorpion tanks that are now going to be surrounded and destroyed. Futurama could even back off these low health tripods to try and make this fight even more favorable. Dimitri's going to try and re-engage. He's going to hope to come to the rescue, but it just doesn't happen. No Vertigos, no Redeemer, just dead Scorpions as Futurama finds the perfect moment for the engagement, and the Vertigo Bombers come in after the fact, wiping out 4 tripods off of the face of the earth, and the Venoms getting a couple of shots as well, blasting down these low health tripods. If everything had happened at once, then things could have been different. That Rage Gen was massive. 3 more tripods go down. The engineers are going to be the heroes of Futurama as the Venoms come back in. The dance continues as the Venoms hunt for the engineers. 1 is missed there. Another one is so close. The Venoms just need to commit in for the attack. Who cares if they have to sacrifice themselves? They're getting the husks, and that may be enough. The man spam is coming in. Futurama, he was able to deal with the first wave, but now the stasis is on cooldown. 6, 7 husks getting deleted there by those Venoms. Dimitri has denied the rebuild, and now the tripods are on their own. The Rage Gen, a massive 1-2 punch with the help of these rocket squads. The Venoms ensuring that there can't be a quick remax from the Scrin player. The Scorpion tanks, they're looking a lot stronger now that the stasis shield has been taken off of the taken out of the game plan for a couple of minutes. Another Rage Gen will fire off, and these tripods were just standing around waiting. They were not ready for this fight. Another tripod goes down, and another tripod spawns into adversity as these rockets slam into him right as he is birthed into this game. Scorpion tanks collapsing from the north side of this fight, and it's going to be a Redeemer on one side, Scorpions on the other, rockets in the middle as Futurama's phased tripods create some space for his army, and those Scorpions just did not find the damage. Dimitri backs on off, but both players are almost completely out of Tiberium. Dimitri, he's been able to harvest away a lot of this blue Tiberium, but now he's got no cash on the ground. He's just got the amount in his bank, and Futurama's tripods are still standing. The huge advantage that Dimitri has is a Redeemer and Vertigos. Those two elements can absolutely delete this entire tripod army. Well, flame tanks can also delete a different kind of an army, as the Catalyst Missile collapses one of the refineries. Nerve Center gets eliminated. Tier 3 gets eliminated. That is 2 dead tech structures for the Skrin. So I hope, though, you like the army that you've got, because you're not going to be getting a lot more of these units anytime soon. Flame tanks splitting off, trying to survive as long as possible, and they both will go down, but not before doing absolutely massive damage to the infrastructure of Futurama, completely resetting the tech tree of the Skrin player and creating so much more time and opportunity for Dimitri. And now, the two fronts of this war. One is well defended. Well, maybe not, as another Rage Gen fires off. These tripods backing up. They're going to do some damage to harvesters. No big losses. The second front of this war is completely open and exposed as Futurama taps out and Dimitri gets 2 wins in a row. Demi comes through with the aggression in game number 2 and the aggression in game number 3. He finds a win 2 games in a row. And game number 4 will send us onto abandoned subway. And for the first time, we have got ourselves no Skrin in this matchup. Dimitri is playing Black Hand, but Futurama switching away from Skrin and to GDI. If Futurama is allowed to build up and max out, that Skrin looks impossible to beat. But when you have more aggression, when you have more attacks, more fronts on the war to defend, suddenly Futurama's Skrin doesn't look as impossible. Futurama switches it up to GDI, and maybe I mentioned Futurama's Skrin too much, but he's obviously a very powerful GDI player as well. It's not like his GDI is bad just because his Skrin tends to be better. And in this case, his Skrin wasn't cutting it. Dimitri played out that late game so well with making that first stasis, which looked massive. Looked like it really didn't matter. Part of that is due to the ability for Rage Gen to chip away at those tripods again and again and again and again and again. You don't need to wait super long for Rage Gen to reset. You don't have to spend a bunch of cash on the Rage Gen to use it like the Stasis Shield. So the Stasis Shield does have that long reset timer and that relatively high price. And as a result, guess what? If you can't use it again and again and again to keep saving those fights, you need a better solution to win the game. Predator tank catches this flame tank pretty far out in the middle of the map, and Futurama is going to be able to shut down this flame rush pretty darn hard, just like he did in that last game. And the body block comes in with the barracks, going to deny the damage to the refinery. Maybe, okay, they can still reach the refinery, so a second body block will be required, but this Reckoner is so low on health that, yep, that is all that was required. They didn't even burn through the second power plant. I thought they were going to get the power plant also, but no, they didn't get the power plant. They just got the barracks, and Futurama is feeling fantastic by shutting down this opening flame rush, especially compared to that last game. The War Factory got eliminated, and that wasn't the biggest deal, but it was a lot more damage than was just done right now in this game. Attack bikes come in. Attack bikes go out. Harvester down to about half health from that bit of harassment. But other than that, the Black Hand squads have all been cleaned up. They've been pushed away. And Futurama is feeling so good about this game in number 4 compared to the previous one. Refinery at the natural expansion for both players. This is one of those maps, kind of like Tournament Undergrounds, Although, unlike Tournament Undergrounds, you start much further away. But kind of like Tournament Undergrounds, you're just sort of expanding to the north. In this case, you are expanding very gently sloping towards each other, with these third bases being relatively close. Not actually that close. There's still an entire screen difference between the third bases, and that's sort of on the far end of the Tiberium field. So there is still a decent amount of space between the bases. It's not quite as close as it is on some other maps. Futurama going for that blue Tiberium. Dimitri was able to grab a lot of that blue Tiberium in the previous 2 games, but not as easily on this one will he be able to grab that blue tib. Predator tank going to be taking a lot of damage. That is 1 dead Predator tank, and all of the attack bikes survive. So Dimitri able to keep his units alive for now. Hand of Nod is out. A couple of rocket squads getting mixed in with these Nod vehicles for Dimitri. And, well, no command post just yet. All right, there's a command post. AP ammo is done, and an airfield is now done. But no Shatterers. No Shatterers for Futurama. Always love to see Shatterers. They're not an often chosen unit, so it is always nice to see them when they do get brought out, but not so much in this case. Command post up and running. Okay, for a second I thought he sold it off. I was like, whoa, that's some crazy recycling of a building if you're selling off your command post, but no, he did not. Op Center is up, and it's going to be the Secret Shrine as well. So we do have Black Disciples ready to go. And these attack bikes, they are going to be spotting that airfield. I think they also spotted that hammerhead as it spawned in. They might even try and chase down that hammerhead. That's a lot of harvesters. That's just 1 dead free harvester. Blue Tiberium spawns in as well. So Dimitri found the blue Tiberium harvester. He killed it so much for that blue Tiberium advantage that Futurama was going for. Meanwhile, back on the front line, it's going to be a couple of APCs committing into the attack. They will have to back away almost immediately, as this wall of rockets is just too much firepower for Futurama to deal with. Rocket squads are here. Where are the watchtowers? He is deploying some of them now, and he's going to be needing watchtowers, possibly hammerheads, as well as just about everything else in the GDI arsenal to deal with rockets if that wall of units ever comes close to his base. This is a lot of rockets. Tier 3 is up. The natural expansion is humming, and the multi-MCV life is what Dimitri is living. Where the juggernauts? That's the real question that we have for Futurama. I don't even know that he has Tier 3 up and running at this point, so he's going to need some kind of Tier 3 answer to obelisks and infinite rockets that are going to be shoved down his throat. Decoy army is coming up, and actually the decoy army deploys super close to this base, so it gets a lot of vision. Maybe there will be a catalyst missile coming in, but it also gets deleted before the fight even begins. Shredder turrets are here on the front line. Charged particle beam has been upgraded. Orca strike comes in. Both of the hammerheads get eliminated, and these shatterers getting some great shots off, just deleting huge chunks of that rocket man spam army, and that is not going to be enough to shut down the army, but it will be enough to slow it down. Double war factory on the front line. Futurama is going to go for the crush. That's never a good move when your only hope is crushing rockets with your Predator tanks. Mine drop coming in. No, it's a catalyst cannon and a vapor bomb on top of this war factory. The rocket squads clear the ground, and the obelisk comes in as the follow-up. And it looks like on this map, abandoned subway. The only thing that is going to be abandoning it is Futurama as he leaves the game, and Dimitri goes up 3-1 into match point versus Futurama. Well, if you can't beat him, join him as we go to the Rift for game number 5. And playing Blackhand in the north, this is Futurama. Meanwhile, in the south, playing the Skren. That's right, Vanilla Ol Skren. This is Dimitri. Dimitri up 3-1 versus Futurama. He's at that match point already, and Futurama has now touched every side of the faction selection. One game as GDI was apparently enough for him, and I was like, you know what's even better than GDI is just plain Black Hand, which is what my opponent did in that last game. Dimitri's one of his biggest... why did Dimitri beacon his own buzzer? Did he kill an engineer? Oh, Dimitri denying that Tiberium spike from Futurama with a buzzer. That is pretty massive. Huge disruption to the opening of Futurama here in game number 5. But one of the things that Dimitri has been able to consistently pull over on Futurama is just always having something that Futurama isn't quite ready for. On Smashed Dust Bowl, that second flank, Futurama could have held on a lot longer if the fight had been focused on one area. But opening up that second flank ended the game. The man spam base push transition, Futurama was not ready for that in game number 3, or game number 4. He was ready to go for the third base. He was ready to play the game out a little bit slower, and he did not scout that there was a huge wall of infantry moving towards his base. If he had, maybe there were sniper teams that could have been called in. Maybe there could have been some more riflemen produced. Anything almost at all to help deal with that wall of forces. And here, with Skrin, I'm curious if Dimitri is going to be playing that same kind of surprise style, where there's something that Futurama just isn't ready for, or if he's going to be playing a more just straightforward Skrin build. For now, it's going to be looking pretty straightforward. Futurama may not know about these Seekers and Gunwalkers. He might have to do some dancing as he dodges and weaves, but Futurama has actually gone double Hand of Nod and Secret Shrine pretty much right from the get-go. This is before his third refinery, before any kind of real expansion gets set up. I mean, yeah, he's got his MCV over here, but he's not really got anything else cooking over there at the natural, and he's going for his tier 2. So this is effectively a one-base tech build from Futurama with an MCV move that kind of disguises the fact that this is a one-base tech build from Futurama. Meanwhile, on the Dimitri side of the map, things are looking a little bit more standard, a little bit more typical, but third refinery, nerve center, another portal. Maybe he wants to go for that mastermind, or maybe he just wants to have the option to pump out some safety disintegrators if he gets a little bit worried about some aggression that Futurama is throwing his way. Futurama should be able to transition into a pretty normal natural expansion after this. Flame tanks. Flame tanks. Oh, the first one actually gets spotted on the right side of the map. That first flame from Futurama, and Dimitri gets eyes on it with the buzzer. Incredibly fortunate scout there by Dimitri. By the way, attenuated force fields finishes up for Dimitri, and he's going to have that extra bit of health when fighting Futurama's army. Dimitri, a comfortable 10 grand up in total resources gathered, and 4 grand up in income per minute. So the longer this goes on, the better and better of a spot Dimitri will be in. Flame tanks, more and more of them coming out. So often we see the first one not do much, the second one not do very much, then the third or the fourth one is the one that actually gets through and does massive damage. Purifying Flame has been upgraded as well. We love every time that happens. Refineries and War Factory both under threat here. One refinery down, not a problem for Futurama or for Dimitri at this stage. The War Factory will go down, and the refinery as well. He gets them both and goes double vet as well. Futurama, if those flame tanks had been just a little bit different, you know, if one of them had actually burned down some of the stuff at the natural expansion, the game state would be changing quite a bit. But Dimitri did such a good job of shoving away that first wave of flame tanks that he doesn't have much to worry about. Yeah, losing the War Factory isn't great, but now the damage starts to stack up, and this is what Futurama was looking for. Another flame tank sneaking through, another War Factory going down. Gunwalkers just don't kill flame tanks fast, and he could have maybe even gone for another refinery, but he doesn't even have to. And finally, Futurama gets the damage he was looking for, and Futurama puts a second point on the board after losing 3 in a row to Dimitri. Futurama comes back to life. And welcome to game number 6. It's the switch up once again here on Tournament Highlands, because playing the Cyan Black Hand, this is Futurama. And playing the Red Black Hand, this is Dimitri. We've made it all the way around, folks. We are now into a mirror matchup on Tournament Highlands. Tournament Highlands is one of those maps that can turn very, very quickly. The game can end quite swiftly. And Black Hand is also one of those factions, kind of like we saw in that last game, that the game can end quite swiftly. But with it being a mirror matchup, I feel like it's either going to go absolute bonkers mode, or because it's a mirror matchup, it's just we're gonna hit the brakes, we're gonna take it easy, and things are going to slow down a little bit. That's a scouting bike. No buggy. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All right. Dimitri is feeling the love for the Black Hand Flame units. Futurama is going to get pretty good vision of this. The Operations Center is back online. Hand of Nod is here, so it is actually going to be a Reckoner. But it gets spotted immediately, and the bike gets a shot off, so this is like double, triple confirmation that Futurama knows exactly what's going on. I don't know if this was Dimitri's original plan or if he got spotted and so he decided to switch it up, but it is going to be double rockets inside of the Reckoner and kind of a Black Hand fake out. Black Hand is going down to the south. Maybe he'll be able to burn down the Tib Spike. Maybe he'll be able to clear out that area, but the real threat is the bikes and this Reckoner, because this Reckoner can, of course, be a huge anchor for the attacking bikes. It's not a great position. It will be able to tag at least one of these harvesters. The second harvester is in range as well. First couple of rockets are out for Futurama. So Dimitri's Reckoner will be getting dropped lower and lower in health. It's not working out great for Dimitri. It's not totally over yet. He does still have some bikes, but he really needed to thin out the numbers of Futurama before the Reckoner went down. And, you know, if you don't succeed, try again. Is that, where's the MCV? Where's the MCV, bud? Where is it? Uh-oh. Dimitri, he is up 3-2, and he is gambling it pretty much all on the line right here, right now. He is going from a 3-1 map score just a game ago, and now he is looking down the barrel of, I'm either going to win this game in the next couple of minutes, or we are going 3-3, and we are going to bet everything on game number 7 for one of these players to advance into the upper bracket final. And it's all coming down to this MCV cell here in game number 6. Dimitri doesn't want to play it out long. He wants to play it out short and fast. He's got the burn down on at least one of those Tib Spikes. A little bit of bike trading happening back and forth right here on the front line. Futurama coming way out of his base, leaving the protection of the War Factories, leaving the repair, leaving everything. It is double War Factory for Futurama. double war factory for Dimitri. The critical difference, 2 refineries here, but maybe not some additional harvesters, as it's going to be trading bikes on the front lines. Futurama has the better bike count, at least right now, but of course we're much closer to Dimitri's reinforcements. Scorpion tanks now being mixed into the army as Futurama brings the firepower all the way across the map, and the Scorpion tanks are an incredible anchor for Futurama's army. But can he actually keep the push going? Dimitri turns around, does not get any kills with that Black Hand squad at the main base, it seems. He is going to pull back to his own main. He's going to wait it out for just a moment. Futurama looking to press in. Only a couple of harvesters here for Dimitri. Bikes going down on both sides. The Scorpions continuing to be incredibly valuable here for Futurama. Not only does he have the better numbers, but he's got the Scorpions as well to absorb so many shots from those bikes. One Scorpion down, second Scorpion getting very low as the GG comes out, and Futurama's bike swarm cannot be beat. Dimitri gambles it all. He rolls the dice, and it comes up 3-3. And that sends us into another mirror matchup, this time, for the last time, on the map Badland Hills, for game number 7 of the upper bracket semi-final. Dimitri and Futurama going to the ace match. It is down to the wire between these two. Futurama, I thought, was coming in as the favorite. Dimitri, on the other hand, putting the big points up early and forcing Futurama to make some aggressive switch-ups to make it to game number 7. And now, full reset. One game is all that matters. Dimitri and Futurama tied in score and mirroring each other in faction as well. Never fear. Both of these guys will get a second chance, or either one will get a second chance regardless of who wins this game. The journey does not end here, but it certainly doesn't get any easier when they drop down to that lower bracket. The scout is pretty much perfect. Once again, Futurama sees this Reckoner at exactly the right time. It's going to be Black Hand +1 rocket. Sometimes we see the players go for the double Reckoner. They get 2 rockets inside of one, and then they sell off the Operations Center and get the Black Hand and the rocket inside of the other. But in this case, it is the light version, very similar to what we saw in that last game. Rockets are going to be getting dropped off. Dimitri has gambled once again. He has put his cards on the aggressive stance, but he's not done yet. One more building coming up for Dimitri. He's hoping to... Oh, this Reckoner's so low. It still is moving, though. It can retreat. It can heal up. Dimitri could still try and transition from one thing to another. That's okay. It's second refinery. He is not going all in. There's no MCV cell, at least not yet. He needs a second war factory before he's going to MCV cell. And there is the war factory at the natural expansion for Futurama. So it is second refinery in the main. He's pulled back that Reckoner. He is hoping to have another chance with that Black Hand squad to actually do the damage that he's been trying to do last game and this game. Meanwhile, Futurama is like, let's go. Double war factory. He's holding off no production on the MCV because every dollar is being spent on attacking units. He's got bikes. He's got buggies. He is crossing the map, hunting for a harvester, looking for an opportunity, and he's going to find it. One harvester, super exposed way out there on the far side, and the second volley comes in. That's one dead harvester full of Tiberium, and Futurama gets the kill on a second as well. It's low on health, and there's the guaranteed kill as Futurama backs away with 2 easy kills on harvesters. Dimitri is getting desperate. Reckoner deploys kind of far away. Can tag a couple of these harvesters with the rockets, but the Black Hand squad is taking up a slot in this Reckoner. You really want to get your value for these units. Rocket squads will be produced by Futurama. He's got the hand of Nod. He is ready to mount the same defense that he pulled off on Highlands in that last game that won him the match. And he's looking to do it once again here. Futurama is taking a little bit of damage on some of these harvesters. He's ready to transition to his natural expansion. He's got lots of bikes here, but Dimitri has lots of bikes as well. They're going to be trading blows, overkilling on some of these bikes, but it's about 2 to 3 on the... Never mind, it's 3 to 4. Futurama, I think, has lost one additional bike. Dimitri may be up in that bike count for the current moment, but he's also the one who has already lost 2 harvesters earlier in this game. Futurama poised and ready to take this natural expansion. Harvester is ready to go. There's the refinery. Dimitri has not started his own refinery at the natural expansion. He's backing on off. He did go with the double war factory build. His economy isn't strong. His main field is about to run out, but the same can be said for Futurama. The difference is Futurama has a place to transition. He could sell off his main if he needed and transition everything over to his big natural expansion field. That is a big field that you can last a long time on if you're Futurama. Dimitri steps on out of his base. Tons of buggies able to gun down those rockets before a single shot is fired. The buggies clear out that little squad of infantry. No additional problems for Dimitri to worry about. You don't want 5-6 rocket squads getting close to your base and then suddenly your opponent upgrades Black Disciples and now you've got a real problem on your hand. Dimitri shuts that down and Futurama continues to grow his economy. 10 grand up. That's the difference in total resources harvested between Futurama and Dimitri. Futurama currently 4K up per minute against Dimitri, but that is going to shrink. I think Dimitri's economy is going to get online at the natural, and Futurama's main base is going to dry up. Scouting buggy comes in. Things started aggressive. Both players kept their heads. They kept their cool. They kept their MCVs. And as a result, I don't know, things might just kind of calm down a little bit. We can get some tech up. We can maybe even get towards the late game. Operations Center is here. Maybe we see Scorpion tanks, maybe the Dozer blades, or maybe it's just a race towards Tibcore missiles for Futurama. He's had a couple of good moves here or there, but he's not out of the woods yet. Dimitri sees the harvesters stealing the blue Tiberium. He's just going to dive on them. He's going for the harvs. It's going to be a huge loss on both sides, but the harvesters for now will escape. Dimitri pushes the harvesters back, forces them to kind of abandon their harvesting operations, and it's going to be a trade between the forces. Bikes and buggies going down in massive numbers on both sides of the map. And Futurama, he started to chew up that natural expansion. Tier 3 is now up. Upgrades coming in. And the tech is a little bit slower here for Dimitri. That's part of the difference in the total resources gathered. Sells off one of his war factories even. Dimitri, he is thinking towards the future, and he's thinking he wants to change up from pure mass, low-level unit production into something else. Secret Shrine is here. Black Disciples will be upgraded, but that's just making parity with the forces that Futurama already has. More blue Tiberium being stolen by Futurama. The middle of the map is being controlled right now by the Cyan Black Hand. Red is not the ultimate color in this match as Futurama is putting pressure on the natural expansion of Dimitri. This focus on the natural will break Dimitri if he is not able to quickly dislodge and make safe this field. Couple of units transferring through that Tiberium. EMP control center could also be massive. There are 2 of them on this map, and neither player has either one just yet. Harvesters coming in. Dimitri might make it to the upper bracket finals of yet another tournament, or Futurama will get another prime position to win a big tournament in Kane's Wrath. Well, that was a very short decoy army. That got eliminated extremely quickly, but maybe the vision is just enough for a catalyst missile. Futurama? Do you need 3 grand? What is the what's the holdup on this catalyst missile? I can't imagine any reason why he was going for a decoy army. Maybe he did just want a little bit more vision on the base, but I assumed it was for a super weapon or a support power. All right, Futurama has not been dislodged, and now this is getting harder and harder for Dimitri to dislodge him. Spectre Artillery are now out for Dimitri. Step 1 in dislodging someone who is choking out your base like this. Artillery is a fantastic choice. I love the refinery from Futurama. Futurama is going beam cannons himself. Maybe he'll get the better angle on some of these buildings with the beam cannons to be able to knock them down quickly. In Futurama, he just wants to transfer all of his harvesters to the middle of the map, take as much of that contested Tiberium as he can. Dimitri, on the other hand, is just trying to run all of the calculations for how could he possibly win this game. How can he pull something out? Force fire on the ground to negate any kind of rage gen. Obelisk does deploy. Rage gen fires off. Not a big effect. All of the units are already focus firing. Harvester takes a teeny tiny bit of damage, but ultimately not a big deal. Redeemer backs away, and it's going to be basically nothing happening. The multi-MCV life is a good one for Futurama. He is now up 10 grand in total resources gathered. Dimitri is maintaining that kind of a distance, but the difference is Futurama now has 6 grand in the bank. He can drop that on any number of support powers all at once. Rage Gen fires off. Dimitri causing some havoc for Futurama. Dimitri will deploy a decoy Redeemer right on top of Futurama, and he'll get some massive shots off with those Spectres. Double Obelisk deploys. Big chunks out of the Redeemer of Dimitri. More infantry traveling through the Tiberium, and it's going to be rockets trying to get on top of this MCV. The buggies and the bikes break it down. Good night to the MCV as Dimitri slows down one of the fronts in the war. But is he going to be able to stop the Obelisk War from raging in the south? Double Obelisk drop in the south from Futurama, and Futurama is looking for the revenge. His bikes and buggies may have punched through, but now he's going to have to defend as Dimitri, he got some damage done, but now comes the retaliation. Rockets coming in. Dimitri finds a flank here on this refinery. That's not the only refinery on the front line, but at least he knocks down one. It gets body blocked. The Redeemer keeping that refinery alive with 1 HP, not even being repaired to be saved. And meanwhile, the front line collapses in the south for Dimitri. He shuts down the infantry in the north. They will make no further ground. The shredder turrets annihilating units on both sides, but Dimitri is more worried about this force in the south. This is where Futurama seems strongest, but no, not entirely strongest, because that's a dead Redeemer as Dimitri runs away from the front line with his equally low health Redeemer, stepping dangerously close to death. Bike buggies swarming on the south side. Can they turn the tide of this attack? Spectre Artillery with a magnificent arc, and it's going to be a vein detonation on top of the Redeemer, chunking out more of its health, trying to annihilate the bike buggy and stop them from swinging around as Futurama tries to hold on to this position. He needs to choke out Dimitri every moment that goes by. Futurama is in a better position, and Dimitri has less and less control over the map. The bike buggy trade is amazing for Futurama. It doesn't matter who kills more or less as long as Futurama stops the attack and keeps Dimitri on his side of the map. As long as that front line never moves, GG will come out and Futurama chokes Dimitri. It took an incredibly long time by comparison to those two previous games, but in a very typical 13 minutes, Futurama finally finds the final victory versus Dimitri. Futurama will advance into the upper bracket final, crushing all opponents, but He's not through the victory gates yet. He's not across the line, and Dimitri will have another chance in the lower bracket, but let's jump to the other semifinal. And that can only take us to one place back to Tournament Oasis for Game 1 of our second semifinal best of 7. Spawning as the red black hand in the north, this is Lumos. And in the south, playing the blue Traveler 59, this is Masterleaf. Traveler 59 versus Blackhand. It's all coming around again. Lumos versus Masterleaf, on the other hand, that's a matchup that I don't think I have ever seen. Traveler 59 versus Blackhand, we saw that in the last series. We've been seeing that for 10, 15 years here in Kane's Wrath. Lumos versus Masterleaf, that is something a little bit new. Not too new, as the Operations Center comes in and the MCV packs up. This is perfectly scouted here. This buzzer is exactly timed. And that MCV, he's walking a long way over. Power plant is now upgraded, so power is back online for Lumos. But, as I said, everything is being scouted exactly by Masterleaf. So, if he dies to this, if he takes a bunch of damage to this, well, it's not because... Well, it's not because it took him by surprise, that's for sure. Second Flame Tank, though, that might have taken him by surprise if he didn't stick around with this buzzer and keep getting the scout. If the Operations Center isn't sold off, then you know that it's at least a threat. Even if they don't actually go for any more, it's a threat. First Flame Tank is going to burn down that Seeker Tank. And Masterleaf spreading his forces out a little bit. This is this another flame tank? I thought it was not going to be that many flame tanks, but here we are. First flame tank getting targeted down. The second flame tank has been spotted there on the left side of the map. Cabal Squad's going to be trying to run through the base and just be annoying, not really going to be doing all that much. And a curious sight indeed. It is a curious thing to see an engineer crossing the map at this stage in the game. Where is that engineer coming from? Well, there's a war factory over here, not an MCV on the minimap. Couple of flame tanks still roaming around the map, and you have to give it to Lumos, who in this case I would put Masterleaf as the favorite of this match, but you have to give it for Lumos for bringing the aggression right at the beginning. Game number 1 through the front door. He says, flame tanks, they will be my way to victory. One Seeker tank does go down. This second flame tank did survive. He's very low on health. He will probably be picked off, but maybe he'll be the one that gets forgotten. And no, Lumos turns to engage the Seeker tanks. He's trying to get at least a kill, and he doesn't even find a kill. 100% dismemberment by Masterleaf. A complete shutdown of this attack. It's not over yet. There's at least 4 flame tanks that still remain on the map. Maybe there's a 5th one out there somewhere and I'm just not seeing it. But Lumos says, let's just go straight down the middle. Masterleaf hasn't expanded. He's all corralled in one base. If I can get there, it'll be easy to shut everything down with just a couple of flame tanks. But of course, it's not going to be free. Flame tanks coming right down the middle. Mechapedes are now out. No descents, though. I mean, maybe descents coming in here, but no, it was going to be maybe cultists or something else that ended up getting canceled there. The portal does get shut down. Finally, a flame tank breaks free, and Masterleaf taking massive damage on the war factory. A second flame tank breaking through. The MCV taking huge damage, and these mechapedes are good, but they can't save you if everything else gets burned down. The last 2 flame tanks get caught, and they die in the slow field. Just in time. The slow field brings the attack to, well, not quite to a close. If that Black Hand squad had Purifying Flame, maybe it could have knocked down that MCV. Tier 3 is going to be under threat. These tanks could kill the Tier 3 and reset Masterleaf a little bit further, but of course Masterleaf has reset so much from Lumos that resetting the tech is kind of the smallest of his worries. Lumos is still fighting this one out tooth and nail. The Scorpion tanks will fire their last few shots rather than just die on the retreat. And the last Scorpion tank goes down, so you truly have to ask yourself, how could Lumos pull it off from here? There aren't a lot of answers left, but he's still in the game, so he's still keeping hope alive. Maybe he can find just the right angle, just the right combination. Killing that Mechapede is an amazing clutch kill there. The GG comes out, and Masterleaf taps out. Okay, so Masterleaf just out of that game as Lumos comes through with the Flame Tank kill, and I thought Masterleaf was going to be able to pivot out of that. Photon cannons or disintegrators or anything. Secret tanks and gunwalkers, but no. Masterleaf just taps out. The War Factory kill did actually kill Masterleaf. And we're on to Tournament Highlands, but how much will really change? Lumos can still flame rush, and Masterleaf has long said that this is a Nod-favored map. Lumos switching it up from Black Hand to Nod, but Masterleaf keeps it locked and loaded with Traveler. No sell-off on the power plant this time for the ultra-fast Scout. I didn't actually realize initially that Masterleaf had sold off his power plant at the very, very beginning of the game to get the Buzzer Scout and go across the map with it. But Masterleaf, he's going to have to bounce back after game number 1, after the Flame Tank craziness from Lumos. And the resilience isn't always there from Masterleaf. In that case, that War Factory kill, I guess, was really just the end of all things. And Lumos could potentially do it all again here on Highlands. Buggy does come out. No operations center for Lumos. He is going refinery. Then there it finishes up nicely. Lumos going for the Scout at the natural. Of course, you always do have to be worried about the potential of a Descent rush from a Traveler 59 player, but no such worries last game or this game from Masterleaf. Descents will probably make an appearance later on, but not right here, not right now. Masterleaf going for a very standard looking opener. Lumos doing the same. Both of them looking very normal, macro oriented. We're going to get ourselves past the first couple of minutes with both players having their MCV still on the map. Perhaps a rare treat, as some of these games have been a little fast and furious. And it is nice to have that every once in a while. Harvester transferring over. Masterleaf is looking for the refinery first at the natural. Lumos, not so much. Bikes, buggies on the menu for Lumos. Masterleaf needs to get a bead on that very quickly. There's the refinery. 3 harvesters are at the natural. They're very far away from everything else. Is there a portal? No. So no photon cannons, no descents from Masterleaf. It's just about the juking. It's just about the secret tanks. So there is not a lot here from Masterleaf to defend. 1 harvester will certainly go down. The other 2 are under threat, as well as more bikes, more buggies coming in. And Masterleaf went for that 3rd refinery without the Scout of the 2nd War Factory. He had no idea what was coming his way. 2 harvesters down, and the 3rd is the consolation prize. If Lumos gets that, well, it takes a bad situation and makes it that much worse. After that game 1 loss, it's feeling like it's already over for Masterleaf. And this third Harvester going down as the Seeker tanks fall one after the other doesn't add any more to his confidence. Lumos crushing Masterleaf. Now 2 games in a row. I thought Masterleaf was going to be bouncing back there in game number 2, or game number 1. I thought he was going to be bouncing back after the flame tanks. But here it feels so much more desperate, so much more dire to try and pull out from this situation. Masterleaf, he does still have that refinery. He's got the second war factory. His tech is now online, so he does still have his feet able to come underneath him. And, well, those couple of infantry are going to die. The Harvester count is looking a little thin for Masterleaf, but Lumos, of course, delayed his own expansion to pull that attack off. So Lumos' Harvester count isn't looking insane either. Spike's going to be coming back in. This time there is actually a reasonable number of Seeker tanks to deal with them. A couple of Seeker tanks will be going down. Ooh, a couple of extra shots fire off from those bikes, and now the Seekers are starting to fall. 2 of them going down in quick succession. 2 more. The kill counts keep ranging higher and higher. The Lightning Spike coming in to help Masterleaf out with this defense. A serious number of Seeker tanks have already been eliminated, and I thought maybe there would be some help from that nerve center from the tech of Masterleaf, but it's not going to be until the slow field finally comes in. These Seeker tanks, they have been doing what they can to hold the line, but that was a desperate play to try and hold that line. Bikes circling back around. Lumos already camping out at the main field, the big central field in the middle of the map. Lumos cycling back with his bikes. No second wave for that attack just yet. Stasis Chamber is finally online. Masterleaf's economy has been lagging this entire game, but his tech is finally fully assembled. Tier 3 plus the Stasis, the portal as well. Prodigies, cultists, even Ravagers could be on the map. 3 Mechapedes, they can be an extremely powerful force, but if they get jumped on and their heads get exploded, the bikes are going to have an easy time with the Harvesters. 2 Harvesters transfer into the blue Tiberium. The Mechapedes all have survived so far. Area mind control locking down 3-4 bikes at once. Buggies surrounding that Prodigy, immediately deleting it from the map. He survives with just a bit of health, but the hunt is not over. The Buggies are not done, and the Mechapedes cycling around, getting as many kills as they can, but one wave is never the end with this non-player. Lumos just keeps parade pushing across the map, and there's the exploding heads of the Mechapedes. 1 down, 2 down, only 1 remains as more and more bikes come in, circling around this mecha, and there's the kill that really counts. Has Masterleaf bought enough time? Has he weathered the storm for long enough that he can take the next attack? Well, that's a lot of buggies, but it's not a lot of bikes. Storm Column comes in. Masterleaf pushes this back. 15k per minute for Lumos, 12k per minute for Masterleaf. 6 grand up. Middle of the map doesn't mean anything to Lumos. Sells off, gets himself another war factory. It's mass bike buggy 4 war factories. Surely you cannot afford all of that production. And I think the answer is he can't. Stealing the blue Tiberium does help out with that, but I'm not even sure how much Lumos has gotten of that blue Tiberium. Mechapedes back out on the field. 4 shard mechas ready to go. Again, 5 shard mechas. Again, that defense can be incredible. Slow but sure, Masterleaf has another chance to hold off this huge wave of bikes. Prodigy on the front line. No upgrades for these Nod units. Not just yet. As the Prodigy teleports away, backs up from all of these forces. Descents have their fast legs, but they're just running a little bit faster to their death as the Mechapedes run away, and it's going to be bikes holding back off of the front line, letting the buggies tank that first wave of damage. More descents are here. The Mechapedes still standing strong. Lumos looking for another angle, another opportunity to swing into the base, and okay, never mind, he's just going to go for the tib spikes. Lumos canceled the base in the middle of the map. He went for more production, but the longer the game goes on, the better that becomes for Masterleaf. Mechapedes are here, 5 of them dancing around on the front line. Massive kills for this Mechapedes, but there's still a huge amount of bike buggy here for Lumos. 1 Mechapede down, that's the first kill that Lumos needs. A second Mechapede down, he's finding the kill one after another as the Mechapedes lose all of their segments, but the bike buggy numbers are getting so incredibly thin. The teleport doesn't happen as the Prodigy gets gunned down on the front line. The Descents cleaning up a couple of stragglers, 2 more bikes as they try and make their way back home, and Lumos' attacks have fallen flat one after the other. He didn't want to play it out long. He didn't want to go for the late game. He didn't want to go for the big eco, and now he's finding out the strength of 2 bases just doesn't last. Masterleaf has not only caught up on economy, but now surpassed Lumos, who once had a lead, had an edge, and now is going to be facing down all of these dancing Mechapedes. Sells off his main base, tries to stabilize. Blue Tiberium Harvester on the front line. The stealth reveal would be incredible. The Harvester doesn't get lit up. The Mechapedes holding this line. Nothing will escape from Lumos' base. He manages to get the blue Tiberium, but very little else is escaping the attention of Masterleaf. 1 Mechapede down, a second Mechapede could get popped, and no, Lumos can't find the kill. Bike after bike, buggy after buggy get absolutely shredded by Masterleaf. A second blue Tiberium Harvester full of cash. Another Mechapede goes down. Masterleaf not able to curb the tide, curb the storm of the bikes and the buggies. Icor Seed comes in the middle, and more Mechapedes coming to the front line. Bike and buggy gonna try and dive and get the kills on the heads. There's the Prodigy, there's the area mind control, and Masterleaf does find the kill. Lumos gets decapitated on game number 2 as Masterleaf gets the win with Traveler 59. And with these two, it seems anything can happen, anything is possible. So as we load onto Abandoned Subway, we've got ourselves a switch up, and it involves a combat engineer, because Masterleaf is playing Steel Talons. That is not the switch up that I was expecting to see from Traveler 59 to Steel Talons. Lumos still kicking it red and nod, keeping it pretty similar. Steel Talons versus nod, not something that I was expecting to see, and perhaps that means that Masterleaf has something funny planned. He's got something goofy up his sleeve, or maybe he's just hoping to throw his opponent off a little bit. 2 Tiberium spikes for each player. They do get grabbed a little bit far away. One of them is a bit of a walk to actually capture, but both players did manage to get it. MRTs heading on out for Masterleaf, nicely tying up the score 1-1 with Mechapedes, and now MRTs will be the unit of choice for the Leafy Boy. Lumos wants to get eyes on this, and he will see it relatively early. It's not a crazy read, because MRTs with rockets from a Steel Talons player is not that wild of a strategy. It happens often enough that Lumos should have some ideas of how to deal with it, and maybe he just goes Scorpions, maybe he just goes for a 4th Harvester, I don't know. Rocket's going to be coming on out. Maybe he goes Scorpions. Maybe he tries to go bikes so that he can cross map and pursue. But it's going to be rockets. I guess not. One Scorpion is enough. Are the MRTs just going to back off? Normally they try and trade some shots because they can heal up. Because, okay, Hand of Nod just for the laser turret. That's what it is. And normally the MRTs try to play a little bit more aggressive because they can heal up. There's 5 MRTs here. They could be going absolutely crazy. But no, it's just delay tactics until the airfield is up. MRTs have taken to the skies. So if you went Scorpion tanks, if you went laser turrets, guess what? You guessed wrong, because the MRTs are here, and there is going to be the stealth reveal with that Orca. Going to be firing a couple of shots as well. The Orca helps get the kill there as the Orca now skates away from the front line, and the stealth reveal is the critical aspect of this for the Steel Talons player. Another laser turret gets deployed, but that is useless as these buggies are going to have to fight for their lives versus these MRTs. Masterleaf narrowly escaping death there as one of the transports almost gets eliminated. A hammerhead as well. Okay, Masterleaf is really committing into this all-air kind of play. And that engineer seems suspiciously timed and angled from the natural expansion of Lumos. Lumos has yet to catch the MRTs. He has yet to shut them down, but he's starting to put more and more pressure on Masterleaf as the MRTs float away once again. The damage has not been done to Masterleaf, and the damage has not been done by Masterleaf. I do get worried the more and more that this bike-buggy combo gets closer and closer to Masterleaf's base, because Masterleaf has done so incredibly little damage on the other side of the map. Rockets popping off here and there. Orca here as well. Buggies trying to find their shots, but they haven't gotten a kill yet. No air units have gone down until just now. The Hammerhead and the Orca getting targeted. That's a dead Hammerhead. Masterleaf going to try and hold off these Scorpion tanks. He's got the bike buggy chasing him down, and the Scorps are surrounding his harvesters. The flying MRTs are running out of space. The runway isn't long enough, and the crash landing has begun. The harvester's taking massive splash damage as one goes down and the other one is surrounded by enemies. The last MRT gets eliminated, and Masterleaf's goofy strategy doesn't pan out as Lumos gets a kill almost for free in game number 3. Masterleaf put on the aggression but wasn't able to keep up the pace. Nothing went down on the Nod side of the map, and the pain eventually came back to the Steel Talons' front door. Welcome back to the Rift for game number 4. In the south, kicking it off as the Traveler 59. Back to his roots, back to where he is strongest. This is Masterleaf. And on the other side of the map, sticking with red, sticking with Nod, this is Lumos. Lumos reading the play in that last game. Maybe a little bit late on the first transition, but it almost didn't matter because Leafy didn't manage to do any damage. And then Lumos just kind of crossed the map, found the angles, got the kills that mattered, and that's what counted. Masterleaf going a little bit more normal. We'll see how, what he chooses as the game goes on, but we have yet to see any kind of descent rush from a Traveler 59 player. It's looking very standard, macro-oriented from Masterleaf, and double Harvester. I don't even think he went for a scouting Gunwalker, which is a little bit concerning because he has, I think, cut all scouts from his build, which does save him a decent amount of cash. It allows him to get those harvesters out faster, but it does worry me that he is leaving himself vulnerable to attacks. Fortunately for Masterleaf, it's actually working out very well in the current moment. Masterleaf has gambled, gone greedy, and it has paid off. He's up to those 5 harvesters, nice and quick. Lumos now up to his own 5th harvester with a couple of additional scouts to take a look around the map at least. There was a buggy, there is a militant squad hunting through the base of Masterleaf, seeing what they can see, and here we go. Masterleaf is going fast legs. He is going descents. And the third refinery is already up and running for Lumos. Bikes and buggies also here for Lumos, so maybe he'll just be ready for this. I don't think he's exactly caught wind of all of the particulars of this build that Masterleaf is going for, but Lumos should have an idea of what is going on from Masterleaf. Well, maybe not if he's leading with the bikes to try and catch these descents. Masterleaf should see the units with his persistent vision. Does he decide to turn around? Bikes and buggies, they're actually going to be pulling back themselves. Lumos is looking for something. Double, is this triple war factory? It is triple war factory out off of triple refinery. 3 harvesters at the natural expansion for Lumos, and he has spotted at least one of the attack groups. He is suspicious of the others, so he's pulled everything back to his main, to his natural, and he is going to hold the line. The descents getting cut up here. 2 buggies, it looks like, going down. The descents are now dead in the first attack group. The second attack group coming in. They're going to be able to clean up a couple of bikes, get a harvester as well, and the second harvester, extremely full of Tiberium, gets eliminated. Masterleaf finally finds the damage he has been looking for, and a couple of bikes to boot as well. The descents will get cut down. The buggies find the kills, but not before Masterleaf does that first wave of damage. Natural expansion coming up now for Masterleaf as he has his refinery placed nice enough. Oh, the second wave of descents, or perhaps this is the third wave of descents, gets caught completely out in the open, and that is not what Masterleaf wanted. He really needed those to sneak by and keep up the pressure, keep up the damage on the other side of the map, or at least run into a group of bikes instead of a group of buggies. Descents and Seekers going to be responding to the left side of the map, but it's only buggies showing up for this first wave of the attack. Photon Cannon gets deployed. Bikes now rolling in. Lumos looking for that damage. The Seeker tanks getting gunned down. The Descents have long since gone to their graves. And Masterleaf holding off this attack for now. Lumos pivoting nicely, not yet able to find any damage. He shut down the aggressive attempts from Masterleaf, but he hasn't been able to find any real damage on the southern half of the map with this fresh wave of units. Second wave of bikes is crashing now. Bikes and buggies, there's going to be the slow field as Masterleaf has curbed his economy, but his Seeker tanks need to be beefed up a little more. Lumos backs off, holding for that slow field to dissipate. And no, he's just completely backed off. Has he pivoted out of it? Not yet. No MCV rebuild just yet. He's still pumping bikes and buggies, so he wants to keep the attack going. He believes he can still take this one. Tripod is here. Storm Column as well. Lumos is running out of time. The first tripod gets jumped on. This is a lot of bikes and a lot of buggies, but this is a lot of trading forces as well. First tripod goes down. Almost every single bike has been eliminated. FaZe comes in to save the tripod, and Lumos turns and runs. He gets the kill on the husk, and at least that is the consolation prize. No dead harvesters on the Masterleaf side of the map. And is Lumos still trying this? Is he still just pumping out bikes and buggies? He managed to at least get the tier 3, get the sell-off with the sneaky engineer, stopping any further production from Masterleaf, and Lumos might have finally found his angle. Double photon cannon and a lightning spike get deployed. The Seeker tanks get deleted, and the attack bikes finally will have free reign against the harvesters, but they're attacking the base defenses. They're knocking down the photon cannons one after the other. Masterleaf has no defense, no descents, no nothing. His 10k per minute is not going towards defending units as the seeker tanks get knocked down one after the other. The tripod is so slow to respond as the harvesters all get chased away. Masterleaf loses a harvester there on the front line, and the portal goes down as well. Masterleaf rebuild with the tier 3 portal refineries full of harvesters. Only one refinery on the Masterleaf side of the map. He's got so much cash, but he can only refine so quickly. Bug Buggy backs off. Lumos has shut down the natural expansion of Masterleaf. Oh, some of these harvesters aren't actually full of Tiberium. That harvester is so incredibly low on health. This Buggy might actually get the kill accidentally. He commits in. He sees the low health harvester. He's going to get the kill. Yep, there it is. Shock Trooper as well, able to get a kill there. Harvester, that harvester actually does need to be saved. Masterleaf, he's bought himself more time. Losing that refinery has added a huge delay to anything that Masterleaf is doing. And Lumos somehow still has Tiberium that is close by this refinery at his natural expansion. He has just been slow harvesting so much money. And now he has passed Masterleaf in overall resources gathered and income per minute, as Masterleaf only now has a fresh refinery, and Masterleaf hasn't been producing anything for the last minute. He didn't sell anything off either. He's kept his tier 3 despite having no production, and descents are going to be the choice, but he could have had that refinery so much faster if he had sold off that tier 3 or even some of these power plants, as the storm column won't be enough to hold everything off. The storm column gets jumped on, and that's a battered and broken Stormy Boy as the portal gets shut down. This second portal gets eliminated. The descents get run over, and there's now nothing left to defend these harvesters. Masterleaf keeps his infrastructure all game long, but at what cost? Everything else goes down. And the GG comes out. Masterleaf taps out of this game, and apparently out of this series, or there were no additional replays. So Lumos goes up 3-1 versus Masterleaf, and into the finals of the upper bracket versus Futurama. But that will do it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. A big thanks to Reminder for sending me the replays, for the sponsors for putting up the prize pool, and to the players for participating. And this is Sybert, signing out.